Do it live. 14th of December, 2024 at 9:08 a.m. here on Harstine Island, Washington, United States of America. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your Devon Design podcast, highlighting how two dum-dums made the world's best astrology software. I am your dum-dum Jake. He is dum-dum Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
Um,
It
that's the
feels
first
so
time that
weird
I've done the
still to
yeah,
point
that I
at
have to point
you
this way.
at the window.
I have to point to the laundry. You are the washing machine. That's how that
But
works.
somehow when you write, it still shows the correct direction.
I don't
Wonderful.
understand. This world makes no sense to me whatsoever. Today's episode is called Speed with Arrows, otherwise known as Sparrows. Yes, it's going to be feel very early 2000s with birds and stars tattooed to our body. Thank you. Hashtag Mark McGrath. Trey has the checking question. We have a dev demo today, which is very exciting. We're going to get right to it.
Yeah.
I have a very small thing to show for design, and then it's a thank you. And this is one of those episodes where, like, because we actually did things, I think it's actually going to be short, as opposed to when we don't do things, it's super long. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you were up to this week?
Yeah, sure. Did you want to do the check-in question first, or do you want to just go right into
You're right. I'm sorry. Let's go right to the check-in question, Mr. Henry.
it? Okay, so check-in question is I was thinking this morning about um how everybody thinks about their body as being very abnormal compared to everybody else's, right? Like there's this like sense that we have of normalcy, and that's perpetuated by like social media and things like this, which is unrealistic. And so I was just thinking, like, share something about your physical form that people might not know or might not recognize. I mean, keeping it clean, obviously. Like, what's something weird about your body that people might not know about?
I have huge, beautiful, wonderful calves, and I love my huge, beautiful, wonderful calves. They are the envy. Like, if I go to the gym and I do legs, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, I mean, my legs are fine and everything, but like when I start doing calves, I can do an amazing amount of weight, and usually I will get people who are super fit being like, your calves are amazing. So I've got that going for me. I probably should have been like a kind of Tour de France type of bike rider because I think that's really
Mm.
the architecture of my body. But I decided to go into the design of astrology. What about you? What about your body that's unique or interesting?
I mean, I could definitely plus one your gams. They are exquisite.
Yes. And in
Calves,
our
the calves are
household, we do
nice.
not call them the calves. We call them the gams. Thank you very much. Because we are 1920s flappers here in the household. I don't have my pearls on. Oh, I need to wear my pearls.
Yeah,
Where am I?
wearing your pearls.
I'm going to go volunteer at the library later. I almost forgot my pearls. Sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Henry.
I have a pigeon sternum. My sternum pokes out instead of goes in. And so you can't really see it when I'm like wearing a shirt or anything, but there's like the bones kind of like stick out in the chest. I can't, I can't really see it. Anyway,
Yeah, Trey's chest bones stick out in a way that my winged ribs that make us interlock. So we were meant for each other, like physiologically, from our weird, weird bodies. So we've
yeah,
got that
like
going
weird
for us.
Legos, meat
Yeah,
Legos.
we are meat Legos.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, like I was like you think things are so much bigger than they are, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
like super terrified of like anybody knowing that I had this like weird, pokey outy chest or whatever. And then you
yeah,
get and then you turn into an adult and you're like, who cares? Like,
yeah. I felt
groovy.
the same way about my winged ribs. I just thought that was something that was for me. And now, if I go onto YouTube and I do like a search for like how to rehabilitate winged ribs, it's just like there's video after video after video. And they're just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all of these pseudoscience things of like, here, just push in this and this. And I'm like, who cares?
Who cares? It's
They're
just a
just winged
body.
ribs. It's just
Yeah,
a body.
they're all
Okay,
cool.
good check in. We love it. Yay. Now, tell us a little bit about what you were working on.
Yeah, so I worked on some more operationality, which I'll quickly demo, and then I put in a small fix. I was kind of putting into the release a bunch of like smaller fixes because we had we've been spending so much time on operationality, and I really wanted to get some other pieces in. And so one of the things that I fixed was we had the speed graphs for the point details have arrows on either side, and they weren't updating when clicking between two separate points. And so you would sometimes end up with two arrows, or the arrows would be wrong. And this was something that was relatively easy to fix. Like I knew what was wrong with it. So I fixed that.
Yeah,
But then while I was in there fixing that, I was like, well, also I could just make this whole thing update in real time.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you saw that last week. So if you, in last week's episode, if you looked very closely at what Trey was showing with like Mars going retrograde, which by the way had a very funny Mars retrograde kind of dream the other night. You can look at it up there in that episode. But before we start talking about my feelings, why don't you show the gentle viewer what you're talking about,
Yeah.
what you did?
Um, also probably worth noting that I'm going to demo this on localhost, like on my machine, because we did do this. Is the first week that we've actually
Oh
stuck to our
yes,
due process. So we
yes, I can
actually
show that.
deployed.
Yes, on a Thursday. Sorry, I've learned that interrupting is actually a sign of engagement and excitement, so I don't feel so bad about doing it anymore. Yes, sorry, go ahead. Yes, please. We can show a little bit of that as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and also Jake did the deployment. Like we did it together on Jake's machine, but Jake did the deployment. So this is really good as well. That you don't want
And
one
why did
single
I
point of
do
failure when it comes for
the
this.
the reason I did the deployment is because Trey had to write things in English, and I was like, I don't understand what these things mean, and he had to rewrite things. It was our form of user testing.
Exactly.
So sorry.
Uh,
Now, please go look at localhost, please.
yeah, I'm here. I'm looking at localhost. So this all just basically looks the same. However, you can let's look at the boon here. You've seen all of this before. However, now when you move through time, you can see that this is updating. And you can see that the speed graph is updating. You can see that the essential dignity is changing and I'm moving forward by day here, by the way. We realized after doing this that we need to do a better job of making the date and time available in when you're looking at a point detail. So that's coming soon, but you
Yeah.
can see here that. So if I just hold
I
this
mean,
down,
we have a
that like
ticket
day
for
after
it. Who
day.
knows? Who knows when it comes?
Yeah, yeah. Who knows when it comes, but it'll come.
It'll
Um,
come.
so this is really cool because there's a number of really interesting things here. For one, I wanted to show we had this conversation. I don't know if we talked about it on one of the episodes, but the speed graph, the way this works is that the solid line indicates when something that's stationary, basically. So, like if when transitioning from direct to retrograde, it would pass over this line. However, this dashed line, which in the case of Venus is way over here on the right, is actually the average speed. And this is super fascinating.
Isn't
I'm
that
actually going to go
isn't that
forward.
weird that
Yeah,
Venus's average speed is so far up that graph? Go for
yeah.
it. Why don't you show the viewer what Venus is all about?
Yeah, so I'm going to go forward by month because Venus is a little bit slower. So just going forward by day, we sit here for a little bit. But if I go forward by month, you'll see that the time that Venus spends
Ooh, that's a
going.
good day for Venus. I mean, minus her being in
Oh yeah,
fall. Hey, elect for that. There's probably an election right there, everyone.
yeah. So anyway, good luck figuring out which date time that is. But yeah, so you can see the cycle of Venus here,
Yeah,
where she
Venus
spends a
spoings.
lot of time going fast and then very quickly dips into retrograde and then back out again.
Yeah, the
So
astronomical term for that is spoing. She spoings a lot.
when Venus swings.
When Venus
Uh,
spoings.
so that's all rad. But then we also, as part of this work, we also added the ability to see the angles also. So you can actually click on the points here. What I just realized is that I'm in Placidus. Let me quickly, sorry, ignore the man behind the curtains. Let me quickly switch.
It is weird that we require our users to open up the database console in order to switch their house
Yeah,
system.
more features coming. So yeah, so now we're in Holstein, and you can see here. Let me grab the midheaven here. So when I was clicked on the ascendant, there's no house because the ascendant and descendant will always mark the first and seventh houses when you're not in a quad. Actually, regardless. But if you're using sort of equal sign
An
or whole
equal, yeah,
sign,
an
then
equal
the
division house system.
yeah, an equal division house system. The midheaven and the descendant, or sorry, the midheaven and the icy will could potentially be not in
In
the
the
10th house.
ninth, in the
Yeah.
11th,
So
mostly in the 10th for the
basically,
MC.
yeah. So the MC here is saying that it's in the 11th house, which is calling out explicitly that like it's not in the 10th where you would normally find it. And so if we keep moving around here in time, then right there,
Point.
you can see, yeah, that the midheaven is just barely in the 10th. And so we say like no house because it's where it's expected to be. And then now it's back into the 11th and so on and so forth. And so as the chart moves, now it's back into the 10th. So yeah, it's just kind of like a nice little sort of bits and pieces coming together sort of thing. Oh, and then the other thing, of course, is that this also all happens in real time. So like this is the here and now chart, which is just updating as like time updates. And you can see here that the ascendant is moving along with the chart. So in the chart details. Okay, so that's that. Very exciting to get that in this next coming Thursday on the release. And then the other thing that I wanted to show really quickly is that we have now wired up our exception management system, which is a service called Sentry. Go ahead.
Ooh.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask something.
No, I said exception management. Ooh.
Ooh, yeah, this is really, really important because this is another part of our operationality. So I showed before how we track the uptime of our service, so that we will know if we're down before our customers do, before our members do. This is another way that we operationalize the product by making sure that we see exceptions to the system, and that we have some way of not only having a lot of visibility into when the system doesn't behave the way that we expect it to, but also that we can do things like track them over time and track them related to releases. One of the issues that we have is actually this is a test issue, which I was using, well, and Jake was using to annoy me to verify that Sentry was working correctly. And you can see here that the issues are actually tracked across releases in the product. So we called the last release before this one 0.2.0. Then we did a patch release 0.2.1, which is the current release. And we've seen some exceptions here. It doesn't show the version because it's
It's
currently
the
in
current
this
version.
current version.
Yeah.
But you can also see here that if we go to our project, you can see when releases happened, and any of the issues that are associated with that. So yeah, it's this will let us also know when we what's called regress. So if we think that we've fixed something, and then later on we see that error again, this will let us know that like, hey, the last time that you saw this was way back when you thought that it was fixed. It's not fixed. So this is really good for tracking regressions, and also just for knowing when the product is not behaving the way that it's supposed to, even if it's not like creating downtime. So, for example, this bottom exception here was actually um, uh, uh, is caused by casting a chart that is outside of the time window that we have ephemerides for. So if you cast a chart very far into the future, we don't handle that instance well, and that's actually what this error is. So anyway, I just wanted to show that off really quick too. This is part of our operationality, and we take things seriously here at
We
Cosmic.
take things seriously here at Cosmic Plumbing, just because our name is that. Thank you. It's lovely. I will say that my favorite part of the new kind of updating speed graph is just moving through time and watching how planets move. Just
Yeah.
it's a fascinating thing. Two very small things on my side because there wasn't a whole lot of kind of showable design work. The first thing is that Trey had mentioned that we did a release. As part of doing a releases, now we also have this Cosmic Plumbing announcements channel where we talk now about what happened in a release. So this is eventually on Telegram. You can go there, you can see in human readable form as best we can. Oh, I can't make this any bigger. What had happened in the product. And that's just a way for you to see um, what we've done. We're just getting used to that idea. Like there's nothing, you can't use the product yet, so there's no point in going there, but that's just more for us to
Yeah.
get into the practice of things.
Yeah, and we'll have an automated way of pulling in, release notes, for releases as well, and
Yeah,
that'll
maybe.
be on the website, and yeah, we will
We hope
eventually.
so. Maybe it's all going to be manual. The other thing that happened is that I've started moving ahead to try to get stuff for aspects into the product. I showed aspects a long time ago up there from a design perspective. Now we just need to make sure that aspects can show up in a card. So if you can imagine that you have multiple wheels, and again, forget the Duplo mode for a second, but like imagine also that I have multiple rings on this chart. You could see all of the aspects across the rings, or I would say, and you can also see the aspects within a ring. This doesn't look super great right now. Oh, you can't see our faces. Hold on. Let me do it this way. There's our beautiful faces. Now you can look at my screen and my face at the same time. So you can see here that we have in this Erica Queen death ring, there is two separating and three applying. Trey's good question to me is why do I want Erica to die? I don't. I love Erica. It's just sometimes I design a wrong. I design the wrong thing, and it's my Saturn placement. I have no problem with death, as it turns out. So that's it from a demo perspective. Mr. Henry, what should the good viewer do this beautiful Saturday morning?
Embrace your body in all of its glory
Embrace your
because it's
body,
amazing.
but in the publicly viewable way. I mean, you can embrace it in the non-publicly viewable way as well. That's fine. We're down for that. All right, be well, embrace your body, take care. We hope to see you next week here. Have yourself a lovely Saturday. Whatever day you watch this episode, take care, be well, and we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.